Archie in a relationship with Rock Hudson, isn't that? Is this our
Yeah.
good segue into talking about Archie and Rock? So they were a loving couple. Archie met Rock, or was it Archie, whatever, through the drive-in.
Mhm.
Uh huh.
Yeah, from the wash he had popped in as that wee shy person just coming along, and we didn't really obviously know who he was going to be at the start. But yeah, I think it was interesting because again, it probably gives you an insight of that may have been what Rock Hudson himself had to do back at that time, is sort of slink about in the darkness and try and get some sort of affection.
I think it,
Again, the fact that they became a couple is going with the whole fantasy of the whole thing. Every storyline kind of goes off on a way where, again, it is trying to be more progressive and more enjoyable and really just fantasy in the end. But we do get that sort of introduction into what life might have been like for them, but they give us a better version of it than reality.
I think it's worth taking a few minutes here now to talk about teenagers and coming out of the closet, and the way in which kind of they were kind of meeting secretly, and how Rock Hudson and Archie, they didn't want to call themselves a couple for a long time, and how Archie didn't want to commit to him or even admit necessarily that he was gay. There was a wee bit of there of, certainly in 1980s, people coming out of the closet was a big thing. I mean, even recently Philip Schofield came out of the closet and the media made a big circus out of it. Coming out of the closet
Yeah.
like that is a big thing, and it's a big pressure for people,
Mm-hmm.
teenagers, certainly 20 years ago, probably less so today. To give ourselves some credit about tolerance today, that's, I do think that we do have to give ourselves some credit that we are more accepting today. But back then, people would not have been accepting of that. Even in the 1980s, Freddie Mercury and Elton John, other George Michael, would have had a lot of problems. Freddie Mercury was often asked about his sexuality and lied about it. Or not lied about it, but did you watch the Freddie Mercury biopic? So he tried to evade questions about his sexuality. He was very much in love with his friend, his female friend, but he evaded questions about his sexuality. Even then, even in the 1980s, you would think would have been a bit more progressive than the 1940s, or so. Just to realise how taboo homosexuality would have been in the 1940s, they were ready to make that movie with the Afro-Caribbean lead, and they were ready to break down that wall. But breaking down the wall of homosexuality would not have happened until the 1980s. And whenever we
Well,
come,
I think back then in the 1940s, it was actually illegal.
yes, it was. What do you call him? The guy who did Enigma. He was arrested. He was arrested for being gay and imprisoned for being gay. I also watched that movie. That was a very good movie with Benedict Cumberbatch. And he was in the 1950s. He was arrested in the UK for being gay, and spent 4 years in prison for being gay. And they wanted to sterilise him, and they may or may not have sterilised him.
Yeah, I would say there were probably a lot of people that were.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that that guy who worked on the Enigma machine was sterilised, and then he died young, or he committed suicide or something in the 1960s. So he had a tragic story which wasn't fully told in that movie. It was alluded to, but it wasn't fully told, because that whole thing
Yeah.
didn't really happen until way after World War Two, like 1950s, 1960s. But he was one of the greatest minds probably ever, and because he was gay, he just never got to kind of be the great mind that he should have been. But we've become
Yeah, and I
sidetracked a
think
little.
that happens so many times with people because of their sexual orientation or their race or whatever. They didn't get the opportunities that they really should have.
Rock Hudson and Jim Parsons' character, Jim Parsons was brilliant in this, and
Mm-hmm.
Jim Parsons, such a refreshing change from The Big Bang Theory for Jim Parsons. Jim Parsons has found his in this. Jim Parsons is a much better actor than he was on The Big Bang Theory. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I love Jim Parsons, and I love him in anything I've seen him in. I think he's brilliant. He's brilliant in interviews. He is such a really cool guy to even listen to talking. But the way he portrayed this character absolutely blew me away, because I honestly, whenever I was watching him, I didn't see Sheldon. I didn't see any of the other characters that I didn't see Sheldon. I didn't see any of the other characters that I've seen. I saw Henry Wilson. I saw exactly what he was portraying. this enigma of a man, this real twisted person who just, it was mad. Like, from the second he was on that screen with this slick back hair, I just thought, I don't like him. I don't like his personality. I don't like the way he carries himself. I don't like how he speaks to people. And I loved how he did that. It was brilliant.
Yes. Jim Parsons is whenever we have to kind of somehow talk about Harvey Weinstein. So Henry and Rock and the sexual harassment there that was happening between those two was obviously not acceptable. And the whole Me Too era is something that we talked about last week a wee bit. And this is the right way to talk about those issues. Firstly, it dealt with two men, which I think that if it had have been a man and a woman sexual harassment, it might have been a bit on the nose, is my opinion. But because it was two men, it allowed us kind of the platform to come into that world and to see corruption of it all and to see the injustice of it all and to see... Now, I mean, obviously, sexual harassment towards women is terrible, and I'm not belittling sexual harassment towards women in any way. But because it was two men and not two women, it wasn't woke. It was dealing with an issue. This was potentially a very kind of woke show, but it wasn't a woke show. It had something important to say, and it said it well. There are a lot of movies and TV shows that are trying to say the same thing, but aren't saying it well, are sort of saying it in a kind of very preachy way, and are saying it in a very lecturing us on these things, whereas this didn't. It showed us, it didn't tell us. It allowed us to make up our own minds. It just sort of showed us the characters as they were, and it allowed us just to make up our own minds. And obviously, this is completely wrong. It's completely unacceptable. This should not happen, and people who do that should be held to account, is everybody's opinion, I'm pretty sure. But that this show didn't force that down our throats and just showed it, and it was probably a true reflection of the corruption in Hollywood at that time as well. So it was easy to believe. You know, it wasn't like it didn't have to take a leap of logic to kind of go there. You could completely believe that somebody like that was around in the 1940s in Hollywood.
Yeah, definitely, I would agree. I mean, we just kind of followed along with the story. It wasn't like, oh, here we go again, somebody's given us a fake idea of what this is like. But it kind of brought together the homosexuality that people were afraid of sharing, and also how you were forced into doing things if you really wanted to make it at all. And he did just walk into that room and go, right, well, I need to do this. This is just my thing. And if you want to work with me, then you're going to do this. But I love the fact that they twisted it, and it became, no, I'm not doing this. You know, you really hurt me. This shouldn't be happening. This isn't right. And we saw that total change at the end where, you know, Henry Wilson saw where he had gone wrong and wanted to make up for that. Obviously, I don't think that that's going to happen to a lot of the people in this world who have done that and will continue to do it. But I thought it was a really good thing to actually see the humanity of someone as well, realising how horrendous they are and something that they have to live with for the rest of their life.
Yeah. Jim Parsons was amazing in this. I was completely drawn to him. I mean, all the characters were amazing, but particularly Jim Parsons really stole the show for me. The show